Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm here to give you an overview of the LLM in International and Comparative Disability Law and Policy at the University of Galway. And I'm joined today by one of our current students, Thokozani, who is going to share a little bit about her experience of the programme with you as well. So let me just start by telling you a little bit about myself. So I'm the director of our Centre for Disability Law and Policy here, where the LLM is based in the university. My own areas of interest in research include legal capacity, advocacy and access to justice. And I'm also interested in the intersectionality of disability with gender and also with ageing. So some of my recent work, I've recently completed a project on reproductive justice for disabled people in Ireland, hearing from disabled people about all of their experiences related to reproductive decisions. So everything from decisions about fertility and contraception through to abortion access to pregnancy and birth to parenting. So it's all been a really interesting project that was funded by Welcome. So we've wrapped up that project now, and the book we're completing at the moment will be out shortly. We're also currently doing some research at the Centre with Inclusion Ireland on the idea of a representative advocacy service for children with intellectual disabilities. And we're also doing some funded work from the National Disability Authority about the experiences of multiply marginalised disabled people. So that would be queer disabled people or disabled women or disabled migrants who are running for the local and European elections in Ireland next month. So that's a really interesting project that we're working on at the moment as well. So anyone who comes to our master's programme has the opportunity to get involved in some of these ongoing research projects that we do at the centre. So that's why I just explained them briefly to give you an idea of some of the work that we're involved with. In my previous work as well, I've also worked at the UN level, supporting the Secretariat to the UN Committee on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, and myself and another colleague worked specifically with the working group that developed General Comment 1. So if any of you are really interested in legal capacity and supported decision making, that was the first interpretation of from the UN Committee about how that right should be respected by countries that have ratified the convention. So we're still it's actually 10 years since that general comment this year, and we're still quite a long way from full implementation of the vision that the convention sets out. However, I think it's a really interesting area of work, and it's certainly something that you'll learn a lot more about if you come to our master's programme. So let me tell you a little bit more about the centre now. So you probably know already, but the Centre for Disability Law and Policy is part of the School of Law at the University of Galway, and alongside a number of other centres. So that includes the Centre for Housing Law, Rights and Policy and the Irish Centre for Human Rights. And we collaborate with those other sister centres quite frequently, as well as colleagues within the main law school. We're also actually part of the Institute for Life Course and Society at the university, and that includes centres like the UNESCO Centre for Child and Family Research. It also includes the Irish Centre for Social Gerontology and the Community Knowledge Initiative. So we work with quite a broad range of disciplines and perspectives, both within the School of Law and across the university. So that brings me on to explain what our actual master's programme is all about. So it is an LLM programme. So it is a Master's of Law, but don't be deterred if you don't have a law background yourself. We have had quite a mix of students on the programme over the years, including those with a law background and without a law background. We are very proud of our master's programme. We think we are unique in the world. There is no other master's programme that you can do that focuses specifically on international disability law and policy. So we're proud of that, and we think it really will be of interest to students who come from either a law degree straight out of university or having gone back to university to do a qualification in law. We've also had legal practitioners like practicing solicitors, barristers, and even judges come onto our master's programme. We have had public and civil servants who work for different state bodies, both in Ireland and internationally. We have had disability advocates, disabled people themselves, and those who advocate for the rights of disabled people, and those who are interested in broader human rights advocacy, including disabled rights advocacy, as well as staff from disability services. So it's a really diverse cohort of students in terms of their disciplinary backgrounds, their professional expertise, and their reasons for becoming interested in disability law and policy. we're very proud of our graduates. Our graduates are among the first students in the world to be actually trained on how to apply the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities to lots of different areas, including national law, national policy, and their own practice. And our students have come from a wide range of countries, and so they've gone on to do very interesting things, which we'll talk about in a while. So I'm just going to run through now some of the highlights from my perspective of the course. So one really unique opportunity that we offer our students is these prestigious internships with the UN Committee on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities in Geneva. So every year, up to 2 students have the opportunity to work with one of the members of the UN Committee. So last year, the students worked on different projects. So they worked on a project about some specific countries, though there have been, the UN Committee does inquiries where they find evidence of grave and systemic human rights violations in specific countries. Those inquiries are confidential, so I can't tell you more about them, but I know that the students were involved in supporting the work of specific committee members on those inquiries. And they also worked on new potential general comments that the committee may want to publish in the future. So it's really exciting work to get to see the inside of how things actually happen at the UN, to be involved with the committee members in meetings that are not open to the public, and to see the inside workings of the process and get to network with really kind of high profile people who are very much to the forefront of implementing disability rights at the global level. So that's one really exciting opportunity that we have. And we have funding from within the programme to pay for the students' travel and accommodation in Geneva while they work with the committee, and also to pay a small stipend that will help to cover their living expenses while they're in Geneva, because as I'm sure you know, Geneva is a very expensive city. So it's really essential that we have this funding to support the students to do that work. Within the centre, you have access to global experts, not just those of us who teach you on the programme, but all of the networks that we're part of. And we work a lot internationally and collaboratively. So if you want to find someone in a specific country who is interested in inclusive education in a country that you think Ireland could learn from, chances are we've worked with that person, we can introduce you to them. So you get really, really good access to a wide range of networks. I've talked a little bit about the projects we've worked on and are currently working on. So again, you get access to all of the events that are part of those projects. If you're interested in having some research assistance experience on those projects, we're always really happy to have student involvement if we can. And you have really excellent career prospects after the program is finished. So we'll talk in a moment about some of the things that our graduates have gone on to do, but we have a really wide network of alumni now as well, who can also help the next generation of our students to find opportunities that are interesting to them in different areas of practice. As well as our research projects and their events, one of the events that we run every year and is a really important event for us is our International Disability Law Summer School. So some of you may have heard of that or been before or are planning to come. And every year we take a different theme. So this year, for example, our theme is Gender and Disability Justice. And based on that theme, we introduce a new cohort of people in very much a crash course on disability rights to some extent, but also to the most exciting developments that are happening in different parts of the world related to that theme. So we would bring together international experts, disabled people who are experts in their own arenas in different areas that are relevant to the theme. So whether that's education or employment or gender-based violence or monitoring human rights obligations. And all of our students on the LLM have exclusive access to the summer school, which is normally there is a registration fee and various costs involved in attending the summer school, and those are waived for our own students as long as they support us as volunteers in the running and organisation of the event. So that's another really important opportunity that our students get. And I've already mentioned this, but we do have a very interdisciplinary student cohort and quite an international student cohort. So I often say that I think the students learn at least as much from each other as they learn from any of us who teach them, and often they may learn even more from each other than they learn from those of us who are privileged to teach them on the modules. So let me tell you a little bit more now about what those modules are that are available to students on the programme. So the 2 things that are compulsory is that every student has to write a thesis at the end of the master's, a 15,000 word thesis that is worth 30 credits. And every student has to take one compulsory module, which is foundational theories of disability. basically. So a lot of the theory behind the specific areas of law and policy that we go on to discuss in the substantive modules is what you will learn in that first compulsory module in semester 1. And then after that, students can choose from a range of options, and these vary year on year. So these are the ones that typically run, but we have to have sufficient student interest to run the individual modules. So the actual exact modules running year to year may change somewhat. But we typically have most of these modules run most years. So the mental health law and policy is one. There's also regional disability law and policy, where we learn about what's happening in the different world regions. So at the European level, at the African Union level, at the Organization of American States, what are they doing as a region on disability rights, which is quite interesting. And we have a lot of guest lecturers on that module who come in and talk about the different regions that they work in and how they do their work. We have a module called Contemporary Challenges in Disability Law and Policy, and this module changes in its topic from year to year. So, depending on what's topical that year. So at the moment, for example, we might, want to run that module on something like the, issues around end of life or assistance in dying, these kind of conversations that are very topical at a particular moment in time. And we take those as a theme for a module like that. We also have a very interesting module that is quite unique, called the International Disability Human Rights Clinic. So this has 2 core components. We train students to give legal information, not advice, that's very important, but legal information to members of the public who have a query about disability issues. And so we train students on Irish disability law for that one. And we have them supervised by ourselves as lecturers and by a local solicitor as well when they give information to members of the public. They're marked on how well they do that. And then we also have a research component to that module. So in the clinic module, the students also complete a research project. It could be for an Irish disabled people's organisation. It could be for an international body. It could be for a government department or a state body. So we get commissioned to do a specific piece of research. The students complete it, and then we mark them on how well they researched that topic for that organisation. So it's a very practical module, I suppose, compared to some of the other modules that have quite theoretical components. It's something that is quite interesting if you're a practical person who likes to get stuck into how would this work in practice. The clinic could be a really good module for you. We have a module on advocacy and access to justice. We also have one on inclusive education, on independent living, and of course on legal capacity. And in addition to all of these modules that are specific and unique to the Disability Law Masters, students can choose other modules from the School of Law or from the Irish Centre for Human Rights. So if you're really interested in gender and human rights, you want to take a module in that alongside your disability modules, you could do that. And of course, students have the option to audit as well, whatever, if you've taken the maximum amount of credits that you're allowed on this program, then you can also audit another module from this or from another program that's just of an area of interest without having to complete the assignment and do all the work for that module as well. So let me brag a little bit now about some of our graduates and all of the exciting things that they've gone on to do after the program. So some of them have gone into academia, they've become researchers, they've gone on to complete PhDs. Some of them are now working as lecturers. We have practitioners. So like I say, some people came to us already as solicitors, and some people have gone on to that path after completing the master's program as well. We have people who have been involved in policy making or who have set up independent consultancies on disability rights issues. People who've gone on to work at the UN, like our graduate Alberto Vasquez from Peru, who worked as the research coordinator for the UN Special Rapporteur on Disability Rights. We've had graduates go on to work for national human rights commissions. Actually, one of our recent graduates is now working as the Human Rights Commissioner on Disability in Mozambique. And Elizabeth Kamundia, who now works for Human Rights Watch, was previously working for the Kenyan Human Rights Commission as well. So we have quite a wide range of alumni. People have gone on to work for philanthropic funders or international disability organizations. And one of our graduates from the first cohort of students we ever had, Likando Kalaluka, went on to become the Attorney General of Zambia. So like I say, it's a really rich set of alumni that we have who can also open doors for new cohorts of students into areas of interest for them. Okay, so the entry requirements then, the formal requirements to come and study with us are that applicants must have a second class honours grade 1 degree or the equivalent internationally of that qualification, either in law or in an interdisciplinary degree in which law was a major component. However, in exceptional circumstances, applicants holding a degree in another discipline altogether, so one that has nothing to do with law or doesn't include a major component of law, can be considered, or those who have less than a 2-1 degree may be considered if they have relevant professional experience in law or disability rights. So this really is to capture, and again, it's become quite a wide range of our students who come to this from different backgrounds, who have personal experience of advocating for disability rights, who have worked in disability services, who know the system from different kinds of experience. And we really value that. And we want all students to feel welcome, even though this is a law master's and you will get a qualification in law. We will teach you a lot about law. We don't expect everyone coming into the program to come from a legal background. And we try to teach it in such a way that it is open and easier for people to get up to speed with the legal concepts that we're talking about. Yeah, so again, if you want to check the country-specific entry requirements for where you're from, then I would definitely recommend you check out the university's International Office website, which explains what those might be. I don't know them off the top of my head, so I'll just leave that for now. And yeah, we just to get to again talk about the practical. If you've been convinced by my pitch so far and you're thinking, yes, I would like to apply, we are still taking applicants for the September 2024 entry. And we continue to offer the applications on a continuous basis. So we don't have a firm closing date, but we do ask you to consider to apply as early as possible, just to give, especially for international applicants, to make sure that you have time to get your visa and everything organized so that you can be here to start for the first week of classes. The fees are as listed. So for the EU-based students, including UK-based students, it's 8,390 if they're studying full-time. It is also possible to take the LLM part-time over 2 years, and the fee structure is different for that. So, but that's just the full-time fee, and the full-time fee for 1 year for non-EU students is 19,140. The fees do change slightly year on year, so it's worth keeping an eye on that if you're considering coming, but not for next year. They may change a little bit, so keep an eye on the University of Galway website about that. There are some postgraduate scholarships available in general to the university, so those are listed at the link provided, and so you can check those out. But we have also had students, for example, on Irish Aid scholarships or other scholarships from their home countries, so be aware if you're coming to us from a different context of what might be available within your home country for study abroad that you might be able to access. For the application, we will need the following documents. We need your exam transcripts from your degree. We need a copy of your English language test results if English is not your first language, and if you have not already studied a degree through English in another university. We need a personal statement, about 600 words, about why you want to come and study on this program. We will need a copy of your passport or birth certificate and one written reference to support your application. So these are the email addresses to contact if you want to get more information. And at this stage, I'm going to hand over to Thokozani just to ask you, Thokozani, to share a little bit about your experience of being an international student in Galway and on this program, and how you've been finding it so far, and any advice you would have or tips you would have for other people who are interested to attend.
Thank you, Dr. Flynn. My name is Thokozani Soko, and I am from Malawi. I'm currently a master's student in International and Comparative Disability Law and Policy at the University of Galway. And back home, I am a lawyer by profession who works with judiciary as the assistant registrar in the Civil Division High Court. So this afternoon, I'm so much honored to share my experience as the student in this master's program. Just to say that, like, embarking on the master's program in disability law and policy has been the exciting journey. And it has been a very exciting experience in my academic and even professional life, And since it has like deepened my understanding of the legal framework surrounding disability rights, and it has also shaped my perspective on advocacy and inclusion. And apart from that, it has also given me a sense of community and networking. I was able to collaborate and to exchange ideas with people from different backgrounds. And their ideas actually were so much beneficial to me, and they will be beneficial to my career as a lawyer. So just to say that, why did I choose Galway, or the University of Galway, and especially the Center for Disability Law and Policy? I was looking for the university that had a good reputation and that had the expertise. So the University of Galway actually is renowned for its leadership in field of disability law and policy. That's what I found out when I was checking on which university like to enroll. And I also found that the Center for Disability Law and Policy is a global leader in research and advocacy for disability rights. And even the curriculum itself is I found it to be very comprehensive because it covers a wide range of topics that are crucial. And the approach that students, and the approach itself is the one that students gain a deep and well-rounded understanding of the field. Apart from that, I found that it's also a program that emphasizes on the global perspective on disability law and policy, which is also crucial in understanding the diverse challenges and solutions in different contexts. And just to add, we had guest lectures from different regions, and they shared like their challenges and even the law reforms that are taking place in their regions and in their respective countries. So it doesn't only focus on like islands or just like one region or one continent. It's very broad that you learn what even others are doing, and you can apply that in your context. And also, as Dr. Flynn already said, even the faculty has members that are highly respected and that are experts with extensive experience in both academic and practical aspects of disability law and policy. So these are the lecturers who also like mentor you, and they also impart like their skill on you. So you gain the knowledge, you acquire the knowledge, but also you will be able like to get the skills that you need. And that is why I chose the University of Galway, especially the Center for Disability Law and Policy. I also chose like to specialize in disability law and policy because I had like the passion for social justice and even to bring change to my country. As someone who is in the justice system, I noticed that there were a lot of gaps regarding like rights of persons with disabilities. I noticed that even our structures as an institution, even some of the laws were not disability friendly, and yet like our goal as the institution is to save or to deliver justice to all manner of people regardless of their status. But I noticed that we only like emphasized or focused on women and children and not persons with disabilities. That is why I developed that interest that, okay, what if I study like disability law and policy so that I can gain the knowledge and apply what I have gained to my institution so that maybe we can change like some of the policies. So my goal was to bring like the positive impact to my institution. There are some parts like of the program that I enjoyed most, but I would say that I enjoyed every course because of their uniqueness and like how we applied theories from different disciplines such as law, economics, and even social science, like to the disability perspective. But above all, I enjoyed the legal capacity since it is crucial and multifaceted topic that intersects with human rights and equality. And it is also like a module that recognizes the ability of individuals to hold rights and duties and even to make decisions. So they are recognized as decision makers. They are recognized as autonomous beings before the law. So you learn about the personhood of the person, that who is of the person with disability, that who is a person like before the law. So it ensures like the dignity and the equality of persons with their disabilities. And just to say that my goal, like as a after this, after I graduate from this master's, is to become a judge. So this course actually will help me to become a better judge, and it will help me like to embrace inclusion of persons with disabilities in proceedings, and to even provide a friendly environment for them, knowing the challenges that they face when it comes to accessing justice in court. I just also want to talk about living in Galway, because some of you might be anxious that, okay, how is it like to live in Galway? I had the same actually mind when I was coming. I was very nervous that, okay, how will it be like to live in Galway? But then I found that the community itself and the atmosphere itself is very friendly and welcoming. I'll just talk about Malawi a bit. That Malawi is called the warm heart of Africa because the people are friendly. They always smile at you. So it's the same as like living in Ireland and living in Galway. I would call it a warm heart of Europe, because you find that the people are friendly. There are times when I got lost, but then I always got help and found my way out. So you find people that are friendly, you find people that are willing to help, and you find people that will always smile at you, and you'll be able to make connections, to make a lot of friends. And apart from that, the weather in Korea, I like the weather in Korea because it is not predictable. Of course, it's variable, frequent rain, mild temperatures throughout the year, but then some of them, like especially me, I embraced that, and it was very fun to experience all kinds of weather like in a day. The cost of living is also a bit lower when you compare to the other parts of islands. So the cost of living is lower, and even the university itself is like close to the city center. So you'll be able to access all the facilities that you need. And it's also a walkable distance to the city center. You can use your bike, so you can get access to the restaurants and all the facilities that you need. And there's also like public transport that is very well connected. I also like Goa because of its culture, like the preserve the culture. You find buildings that are very old, but they in it is embedded like the history of Ireland, the history of Galway. So you find Irish music, especially for those who like the nightlife. You find that in the streets. You find like people playing Irish music. So it's very, very enriched in its culture. So generally, I enjoyed living in Galway. I also enjoyed the Center for Disability Law and Policy, because it also like accommodates people from different backgrounds. It accommodates the program itself accommodates people from different disciplines. So even if like you're not coming from the law background, but you'll be able like to grasp the concepts, because much as it's part of law, but the language that is used is very accommodative. So you'll be able like to understand each and every concept. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Thokozani, for sharing your experience. It's great to hear that it's been going so well. And we're very lucky to have you as well. So we're really happy that you're part of the student cohort for this program.
Thank you.
So now is really the time for questions. If anyone wants to ask anything specific about the content of the program, or I should have said a little bit about assessment maybe. So apart from those unique aspects like clinic, where you're marked on how you do a practical task, most of the all of the other modules, there's no exams. It's all based on continuous assessment, mostly assessing by essay. There's some student presentations as well that in different modules that attract marks. But are some smaller kind of tasks that students do that are more practical that get some marks. But mostly you're going to be assessed by continuous assessment and by essay. So that's just something to mention if people are curious about the mode of assessment. And yeah, if people have questions, you can turn on your microphone.